Have you ever wondered why your body refuses to change, even when your plate looks emptier than ever? It feels almost unfair, like the rules of biology suddenly stopped applying to you. This paradox is more common than people imagine, and understanding it is the first step to breaking free from the invisible walls that stall fat loss. Many individuals reduce their caloric intake dramatically, expecting results that never come, leaving them frustrated and confused. Science shows that the body doesn't interpret eating less the same way you do. To you, it's a strategy. To your biology, it's a potential threat. When the brain senses a consistent drop in energy intake, it starts altering metabolic processes to protect you. This is why simply eating less doesn't automatically produce deeper fat loss. Your body is actively adjusting behind the scenes. In this video, you'll discover why this happens and what biological forces shift into gear the moment you start restricting food. And trust me, some of these mechanisms are far more ancient and protective than you might expect. You'll see that your body isn't sabotaging you, it's trying to save you. There's one point in this process where most people completely misunderstand what's really happening. Before we continue, comment yes if you've ever tried fasting before, or no if this is your first time exploring this topic. The human body was never designed for a world of abundance. It evolved in one of scarcity. For thousands of years, survival depended not on burning fuel quickly, but on conserving it. This evolutionary wiring is a major reason fat loss becomes so difficult when your intake drops too fast. Instead of rewarding your efforts, your body tightens its grip on stored energy. When you cut calories aggressively, metabolism slows to match the new intake. Scientists call this adaptive thermogenesis, a protective response where your body becomes more efficient at holding on to fat. In other words, you burn fewer calories doing the exact same activities you used to do effortlessly. This resistance to change can feel like betrayal, but it's actually a survival tactic written into your DNA. Your body doesn't know you're dieting for aesthetics. It thinks you're facing famine. So it lowers energy expenditure, increases hunger hormones, and boosts cravings for calorie-dense foods. Understanding this paradox is crucial because it explains why sheer willpower and restriction often backfire. And as you'll soon see, there are ways to work with your biology instead of against it. When caloric intake drops too low, the thyroid gland reacts instantly. This butterfly-shaped organ controls metabolic rate, and under severe restriction, it reduces production of key hormones like triiodothyronine. Lower thyroid activity means a slower engine. Your body burns fewer calories at rest, and fat loss slows dramatically. Simultaneously, your body starts breaking down muscle tissue for energy. Muscle is metabolically expensive to maintain, so in times of shortage, your body sacrifices it before touching stored fat. This loss of muscle further decreases metabolic rate, turning fat loss into an uphill battle. The leaner your muscle mass becomes, the harder it is to burn calories effectively. Researchers also found that prolonged restriction elevates cortisol, the stress hormone. High cortisol can increase fat storage, especially around the abdomen, creating a frustrating cycle where you eat less, but your body stores more. This is one of the reasons people often feel softer, not leaner, after extreme dieting. The truth is, eating too little can send your metabolism into a protective slowdown. But the good news is that this process is reversible, and later in this video, you'll learn exactly how to undo it safely. Hormones are the silent directors of nearly every weight-related process: appetite, cravings, energy expenditure, fat storage. When you're eating very little, several of them shift dramatically. Leptin, the hormone responsible for signaling fullness and regulating metabolism, drops significantly. Low leptin makes your brain believe you're starving, triggering hunger and reducing calorie burn. At the same time, ghrelin, the hunger hormone, rises. Elevated ghrelin intensifies cravings, especially for foods rich in sugar and fat. Even with strong willpower, biology often wins. That's why people on restrictive diets frequently feel obsessively hungry, even after eating.
Insulin sensitivity may also decline during prolonged undereating. With disrupted insulin responses, your body becomes less efficient at using glucose, pushing more of it into fat storage. Combine this with elevated cortisol from stress, and you have a hormonal environment engineered to conserve fat instead of burning it. Understanding these hormonal shifts helps remove the feeling of guilt or failure. Your struggle isn't a lack of discipline, it's a complex interplay of biological signals working exactly as they were designed to. Muscle isn't just for aesthetics, it is one of the greatest allies in fat loss. Muscle tissue burns significantly more calories than fat, even while you're resting. So when muscle mass decreases due to undereating, your overall calorie burn plummets. This makes fat loss slower, more frustrating, and much harder to sustain. When your body senses low energy intake, it seeks ways to reduce its energy demands. Muscle, though valuable, is metabolically expensive to maintain. This is why crash diets often lead to rapid muscle loss. And with less muscle, your metabolism becomes sluggish, meaning that even small amounts of food can lead to weight gain. Studies consistently show that maintaining or increasing muscle mass protects metabolic rate during weight loss. This is why strength training and adequate protein intake are crucial, not only to shape the body, but also to keep fat loss moving. Without them, the body slips into energy-saving mode. By the end of this video, you'll understand how preserving muscle is one of the most powerful strategies to avoid fat loss plateaus, and how you can rebuild metabolic strength step by step. Chronic stress might feel like an emotional burden, but biologically, it acts like a constant alarm signal. When the body detects stress, whether from work, relationships, or even dieting, it releases cortisol, a hormone designed to keep you alert and store energy. This means that even when you're eating very little, high cortisol can push your body to hold on to fat as a protective mechanism. Cortisol also disrupts how your body uses glucose. Instead of burning it efficiently, your cells become resistant, pushing more energy into fat storage. This is especially noticeable around the belly area, where cortisol tends to direct fat accumulation. For many people, this leads to a frustrating paradox. The more stressed they feel, the harder it becomes to lose fat, even with strict eating habits.
On top of that, chronic stress increases cravings for hyper-palatable foods, especially sweet and salty snacks. This isn't a lack of willpower. It's biology trying to give you a quick source of energy during perceived danger. When these cravings hit during a restrictive diet, they can create episodes of overconsumption that stall progress further. When you understand the biochemical relationship between stress and fat storage, it becomes clear why managing stress is not optional. It's a crucial part of unlocking steady, sustainable fat loss. Sleep might seem unrelated to fat loss, but it is one of the most powerful regulators of appetite and metabolism. Just one night of poor sleep can increase ghrelin, reduce leptin, and heighten cravings the next day. Over time, this hormonal disruption makes your body behave as though it needs more energy than it actually does. Studies also show that insufficient sleep affects the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and impulse control. This is why people who sleep poorly often struggle to resist high-calorie foods, even when they're determined to stay disciplined. Fatigue weakens mental resilience, making dieting significantly harder. In addition, sleep deprivation disrupts insulin sensitivity. With impaired insulin function, your body stores more fat, especially when meals are irregular or too restrictive. Even if you are eating less, your metabolism becomes less efficient at using the energy you provide. If you've ever wondered why fat loss feels impossible during exhausting weeks, this is the reason. Sleep is not passive, it is a powerful metabolic tool. Later in this video, you'll learn how simple improvements in sleep hygiene can reignite fat loss in ways you might not expect. When you diet for long periods, your body adapts in ways that permanently alter its relationship with energy. At first, reducing calories leads to weight loss.
But over time, your resting metabolic rate declines, your body becomes more efficient at storing fat, and your hunger hormones rise. This is the classic survival-based adaptation triggered by chronic restriction. This adaptation is known as metabolic compensation. It means your body burns fewer calories at rest than someone of the same size who hasn't dieted extensively. This phenomenon explains why people who regain weight after a diet often find it harder to lose it again later. The body remembers the famine and prepares for future shortages. Another unexpected consequence is reduced non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. This includes all the small movements you make throughout the day: walking, fidgeting, posture adjustments. During long-term dieting, NEAT drops significantly, reducing the total calories you burn without even realizing it. You may feel more tired, less motivated to move, and overall slower. Long-term dieting doesn't break your body, but it does reshape it. The good news is that these adaptations can be reversed, and in the final part of this video, you'll learn science-backed strategies to restore your metabolic flexibility. Every weight loss journey eventually hits a plateau, that moment when progress freezes and nothing seems to move forward. This plateau isn't a failure, it's a survival mechanism. When your body loses weight, it also loses energy reserves. Sensing this, your metabolism naturally slows to conserve fuel, making fat loss progressively more difficult. During this phase, your body increases hunger signals, reduces calorie burn, and becomes more efficient at absorbing nutrients. This is an evolutionary response designed to keep you alive during periods of scarcity. But in a modern dieting context, it creates a frustrating wall that feels impossible to overcome.
Many people respond to a plateau by cutting even more calories, which unfortunately deepens the survival response. The body interprets the additional restriction as a threat, slowing metabolism even further. This leads to the illusion that nothing works, even when you're technically doing everything right. What breaks the plateau is rarely more restriction, it's metabolic strategy. Soon, you'll see how small, intentional adjustments can signal safety to your body and restart fat loss without extreme measures. Human perception of food intake is surprisingly inaccurate. Studies show that most people underestimate their caloric intake significantly, often by hundreds of calories per day. Small bites, licks, tastes, just a handful of snacks and inconsistent portions all add up without you noticing, especially during stressful or restrictive dieting. Another common issue is relying on foods labeled as healthy but that are still calorie-dense. Items like granola, nut butters, smoothies, and protein snacks can easily push intake higher than expected. You may feel like you're eating almost nothing, but in reality, hidden calories are slipping in throughout the day. Liquid calories are often forgotten entirely. Coffee additives, sauces, dressings, and beverages contribute more than people realize. Even small changes in preparation, like using oil instead of spray, can drastically change total intake. These unnoticed calories can completely stall fat loss. Before we continue, comment below, what food do you think is the easiest to underestimate? Nut butters, snacks, or drinks? Let's see which one surprises people the most. Modern life is built in a way that constantly challenges your biology. Highly processed foods are everywhere, engineered to trigger dopamine pathways that override natural hunger cues. Even if you are genuinely eating little, the environment can stimulate cravings and behaviors that disrupt fat loss without your awareness. Your brain is simply responding to cues that are far more powerful than willpower alone. Biologically, your body is wired to seek calorie-dense foods because for most of human history, these were essential for survival. Today, this instinct works against you. When you're undereating, these primal drives intensify even more, making your environment feel like an obstacle course of temptations. Understanding this helps remove the shame people often carry around eating. Even your internal clock plays a role. Irregular meals, artificial light at night, and disrupted daily rhythms shift hormones that regulate appetite and metabolism. These subtle changes can stall fat loss even when your overall intake remains low.
In other words, your habits are shaped by forces much bigger than individual choice. When you view fat loss through this lens, you realize something freeing. Your struggles aren't personal failures. They are predictable biological responses to an environment your body was never designed for. Unlocking fat loss isn't about eating dramatically less, it's about restoring biological balance. One powerful method is implementing controlled refeed days, where you temporarily increase calories to signal safety to your metabolism. Research shows that this can increase leptin levels and raise metabolic rate, allowing fat loss to resume more smoothly. Strength training is another science-backed tool. Muscle acts like a metabolic engine, burning more calories at rest and improving insulin sensitivity. Even 2 or 3 weekly sessions can create profound changes in how your body processes energy. Combined with adequate protein intake, this helps prevent muscle loss during dieting, keeping your metabolism resilient.
Managing stress and improving sleep directly enhance fat loss by restoring hormonal control. Techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness, and consistent sleep routines lower cortisol and improve appetite regulation. These adjustments might seem small, but biologically, they create a cascade of improvements that make fat loss easier and more predictable. By integrating these strategies, you teach your body that it's safe, nourished, and capable of letting go of stored fat without extreme restriction. You'll soon see how these principles build the foundation for long-term success. Rebuilding a slowed metabolism requires patience, but the process is incredibly effective. It begins with gradually increasing caloric intake, a strategy known as reverse dieting. Instead of shocking the body, you add small amounts of food week by week, allowing your metabolism to adapt upward without rapid fat gain. Over time, this restores thyroid activity, raises energy expenditure, and stabilizes hunger hormones. Supporting muscle growth during this phase is essential. Resistance training stimulates protein synthesis, helping rebuild the lean mass lost during restrictive dieting. With more muscle tissue, your body naturally burns more calories, even while resting. This shift alone can reignite fat loss potential and increase overall vitality. Improving micronutrient intake accelerates metabolic repair. Nutrients like iodine, zinc, selenium, and B vitamins play critical roles in metabolic pathways and hormonal regulation. When your intake is too low for too long, these systems suffer. Ensuring balanced nutrition helps restore your metabolic machinery to full function. This rebuilding phase isn't just about metabolism, it's about long-term health. As your energy returns, cravings stabilize, digestion improves, and fat loss becomes sustainable rather than forced. You're not just restarting your metabolism, you're strengthening it. If this helped you understand how metabolism recovers, watch the video called "How Long Could You Fast Before Your Metabolism Slows?" It connects perfectly with what you just learned. True fat loss isn't a punishment, it's a collaboration between you and your biology. When you understand how your body responds to stress, restriction, and environment, everything becomes clearer. You stop fighting against yourself and start working in alignment with your physiology. This shift transforms fat loss from a frustrating battle into an informed, sustainable practice. Sustainability comes from balance, not extremes. Eating enough to fuel your metabolism, building muscle, managing stress, and sleeping well all create a stable internal environment where fat loss naturally occurs. These elements might sound simple, but together they form one of the most scientifically supported frameworks for long-term results. What truly matters is consistency. Small, intelligent habits practiced daily have far more power than drastic diets that cannot be maintained. When you adopt a lifestyle rooted in nourishment instead of deprivation, your body responds with more energy, better mood, and gradual, lasting fat loss. And if this video helped you understand your body in a new way, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and even hit the super thanks if you feel this content truly supported your journey. Your story matters, and someone else out there might need this message today.